Welcome back to our international viewers, and thanks for joining us once again for our daily English news edition. As usual, I'm Daniel Cook, your host, Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. The Albanian Financial Supervisory Authority is now involved in the discussion on mandatory insurance for farmers. They have said that the insurance companies must not show bias in providing their services, and that if there is a new law that makes insurance mandatory for farmers, it must be comprehensive. Commenting on the high risk of natural disasters in Albania, the head of the board explained that insuring the country's farmland is a necessity that borders on an emergency. According to him, the World Bank requested that agricultural land be insured a long time ago, when it listed Albania among the countries of highest risk. The agency has reported that, according to their data, the insurance payouts in Albania are often too low. They say that the compensation of damage is generally not satisfactory, but that it has increased in the recent past. In response to the concerns of the farmers who feel that insurance companies will not accept the amount of risk they represent, the chairman repeated the statement that has been made by other insurance representatives. Insurance companies cannot agree to insure a piece of property with a 100% risk of flooding. The drop in temperature has brought rain and snow all around Albania, causing more flooding in a number of locations. Intense rainfall caused the river Ishem to overflow, flooding hundreds of hectares of agricultural land around the Kruja area. The residents are worried that if the rain continues at its current pace, the floods will soon reach their homes and cause even more damage. They have made a request for the government to send a workforce to clean out the river so that it flows more freely. They say that in its current condition, the river overflows every time the heavy rains come. In Kurbin, the swelling of the river Mat is now threatening the national road. There has been some buildup of snow along the Kalimash tunnel area, but the road is clear, and the authorities are saying that there is no need for drivers to use tire chains. In the Korça area, there are some problems reported near a village called Dardhe. Icy conditions have been reported, but the roads are not blocked. Drivers in the area are advised to be cautious. Some of the farmland in Elbasan has been flooded by the river Shkumbin, which is also swelling in the intense rain. There is a landslide reported along the road between Elbasan and Librajde, where the river has weakened the structure of the road. The National Center of Registration has announced that the operation against informality has significantly increased the number of formalized businesses in Albania. The director of the center says that around 39,000 businesses have registered in the past year, primarily in the small business category. There has been some movement in the other direction as well, as business owners have decided to close their doors and stop their operations. The director says that around 4,000 businesses have deregistered, and that most of them are once again in the small business category. He went on to say that the greater part of the new registries have been businesses reporting gross income of 5 million lek or less. He made the following comment today. Driven by the removal of taxes for businesses with a gross income of 5 million lek and lower, and the reduction of taxes for businesses making more than 5 million lek, the number of registered businesses has significantly increased. He went on to say that Tirana, Durrës, Vlora, and Fier have recorded the highest number of new registries. An activity was organized by the Ministry of Social Welfare today to promote employment and vocational education. Speaking at the event, Minister Klosi announced that improving the labor market will be one of the top priorities of the government this year. He criticized the activities of the employment offices and announced that they will be reorganized and streamlined this coming year. According to him, it is unacceptable that the unemployment offices do not have up-to-date information about the demands and needs of the labor market. On his part, the head of the Albanian Chamber of Commerce, Nikolin Jaka, spoke about the need for labor supply to meet the demands of the market. He requested a clear strategy from the government on how to provide the human resources that are needed. One of the employment agencies gave information on the citizens who have gone abroad seeking employment. The director said that 530 Albanians found work outside the country this past year and are now spread over 180 foreign countries. Lastly, the Minister of Social Welfare spoke about the need for students to get hands-on practice in their profession before entering the labor market. He requested the help of the business sector to find ways for the vocational students to get experience in the field. It appears that the coming price increase for city bus tickets will not be the final word, and the Association of Urban Transport will seek further increase. In an interview given for Aura News, a representative of the association said that they are still in negotiations with the municipality. Meanwhile, Vice Mayor Mazniku has repeated that no further price increase will even be considered unless the association meets their conditions, meaning that the service must be improved. The citizens complain that the service is not up to standard and that they cannot afford another price increase. Many of them use the service daily to get to work, and some have to use it multiple times per day. The talk of increasing the price began back in 2013, but at that time, the municipality refused to allow it. 2 years later, the city has conceded, allowing the Transport Association to increase the price by 10 lek. They have explained that the increase is only a reasonable indexing for the cost of fuel and operations. The Democratic Party has not yet finished the letter that they will send to the Venice Commission. It's reported that the main concern they hope to express is that the final draft will allow political control of the justice system. This is because it allows institution members to be appointed with 3/5 majority vote, a percentage that the ruling coalition already controls. They will also argue that the draft fails to include 11 of the recommendations from Venice. Meanwhile, the SMI also has complaints about the qualified majority detailed in the draft. They will also be sending a separate opinion to the Venice Commission. They propose that the appointment of the justice institution members should follow the same model that is used by the Central Electoral Commission. This does not necessarily have to do with the number of votes needed for a qualified majority, but rather with the inclusion of the opposition in the appointment process and consensus in the decision-making. Yet another point that is dividing the parties is the mandate of the Prosecutor General. The SMI believes that the mandate should be terminated only at such a time when the institution does not exist anymore, which would come after the constitutional changes that are part of the draft. Also, they think that the Minister of Justice should not have a role in several of the other justice institutions. Instead, they think he should serve as a bridge between the judiciary and the executive. Furthermore, they propose that the Minister of Justice should be responsible for inspection and discipline of judges and prosecutors within the system. Additionally, the SMI supports only the creation of a Supreme Court, and they do not see the need for a Supreme Administrative Court. Finally, they believe that amending as many as 57 articles of the Constitution would be equal to creating an entirely new one. They are against making as many changes as the final draft proposes. That's the end of our news this evening. Thanks for watching, and please join us again on Monday for more translated news in English. Have a great weekend.